Guys, it's Elizabeth from Elizabeth Books. I'm here today to do my May wrap-up. I didn't read that many books in the second half of May for me because I was moving, as you can see, my new location. Yay! But the books I did read, I enjoyed most of them, so let's get into it. The first book I read was All the Rage by Courtney Summers, and I've never read anything by Courtney Summers before, and I really liked this one. It's her newest one. A girl who tells a secret and nobody believes her. So when something bad happens in her town, she is kind of hesitant to help with it because no one believed her in the past, and it has trigger warnings for rape. And overall, it wasn't what I was expecting, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to pick up something else by Courtney Summers. Then I read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and I was so excited for this one. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling with fae, or like fairies, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I kind of thought it was overhyped, so I didn't think I would like it that much, but it's so good, and the main character was my favorite, and like the first 10 pages I was sold in this book, and I loved, she meets a fairy named, I think it's like Lucian, and he was my favorite character, even though he wasn't like the main fairy character or anything, but he was my favorite, and I'm really excited to see how the series will continue. Next I borrowed City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare, which is book 4 in the Mortal Instruments series from my friend Ashley at Tea Leaves and Bookbindings, and this series is okay. It's not really my favorite. I'm just kind of reading it to, since I started it, now I want to finish it, but I don't really enjoy them that much. This one just continued on. Like, it was supposed to end with the 3rd book, so then she wrote 3 more, and so it just continues on. It was okay. Then I read a bunch of books on my Kindle. It's The Storied Life of A.G. Thickery by Gabrielle Zevin, and it was okay. I'm really glad I borrowed it. It's about a guy who works in a bookstore, and his wife passes away, and eventually he adopts a daughter, and it's just about him meeting another, I think it was like an editor, and how they fell in love in their life together, and it was okay. I just was expecting a lot more from it. I thought it was going to be like a different story, and I didn't really like how he got to adopting the daughter. It was a very weird situation, and overall it was just, I liked the like references to other books and things in it, but it was just kind of a boring story and nothing really happened, so it was just kind of a 3 out of 5 for me. It was okay, but I probably wouldn't reread it. I read Never Never Part 2 by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher, and I was so excited for this one because I read Part 1 I think in like February, and it was amazing. It was so good, and then this Part 2 was not good at all. It was just very rushed, and it was like the same story again. The same story we read in Part 1, just like retold, and then added this other scene that was just very weird, and I don't know, I'm excited to finish it, but I'm kind of mad that like you have to buy them in 3 parts, and I could have just waited and probably just got it all in like one book, because the cliffhanger was like really good for the first one, and I was really excited for this one, but now after reading the second one, I'm not really that excited for the 3rd one, but I mean, I'm still going to read it. I'm just not like dying to read it. I read Mosquito Land by David Arnold. I borrowed that from the library on my Kindle, and it was pretty terrible. It was like a road trip, and the girl lives with her dad, and she's trying to like road trip to see her mom, and she takes like buses and things, but I feel like the things that happened wouldn't ever happen, and the character was just very like overly quirky and weird. She meets some people and that like go on her road trip that I just don't feel like it would ever happen in real life, how things happen. I understand it's book and it's okay, but in contemporary I want things to be realistic, and it just wasn't realistic, and I did not enjoy it. And then I read again on my Kindle Legend by Marie Lu, and that's the first book in her, I think like Legend trilogy or something like that. I'm really glad I read it. I've been wanting to read it for a long time. It's about a girl who's 15 and like super smart. She works for the government. And her brother dies, and who she believes killed him was this other like 15-year-old rebel, and so her mission is like trying to capture him and kill him to avenge her brother's death, but she learned some secrets about him and he learned some about her, and it ended really good. I mean, I am excited for more of them. It wasn't my favorite book. I did like the characters a lot, and I do want to see what happens next, but I'll probably just continue to borrow them on my Kindle. And then I read, not on my Kindle, finally, Fangirl by Ramble Rowell, and I got the collector's edition from Barnes & Noble, even though I have the other one, because this book is the greatest. And I bought it and I just had to start reading it, rereading it, I guess, because it's super good. If you haven't heard about Fangirl, it's about a girl who goes to college and she writes fan fiction about a character called Simon Snow, which would be compared to like Harry Potter for us. And she just loves it. It's her passion. And it's just about her kind of growing up, going to college, meeting the boys, kind of moving away from her sister and dad, and it's a really, really good contemporary. It's probably one of my favorite ones. I really recommend this one if you are thinking about reading a contemporary. And finally this month I read Winter Blood by Marcus Sedgwick. This was a book of, it was like 7 short stories talking about this island and how characters connect. In each story there's like a character named Eric and a character named Marley, and I really, really loved the first story. It got me sucked into the book, but then I felt like the other 6 stories weren't that great compared to it. But then the epilogue was really good too. So overall, like, give it like a 3.5 probably, or a 4. But I probably wouldn't reread it just because I know what happens. And I don't know, the first story was really good. It got you really sucked in and it was kind of scary, but the rest wasn't that scary for me, and I don't know. It was okay. Yeah guys, those were the books I read in the second half of May. Tell me below what books you read this May. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!